Hi there everyone, this is Jeremy Brown here and welcome to this video on how to de-winterize your camper. Now if you see in this video here, it doesn't matter if you got an RV or camper, the setup's going to be different in each model depending on who makes it, but the general idea is going to be the same. So in this video here you can see I've got the garden hose hooked up currently to fill my fresh water tank. What you're going to want to do before you start doing that is either, if there's a valve on the drain on it, or if there's a cap, then go ahead and shut the valve to close or put the cap on there so that way you can start filling your fresh water tank. Now what I want to do is I'm going to fill this, and also so I'm going to de-winterize the camper, and I'm also going to sanitize the freshwater system. Kill two birds with one stone. Now, general rule of thumb is a quarter cup of household bleach per 16 gallons of capacity. So in this case, mine, I ended up just rounding up. So I put 3/4 cup of bleach with mixed in some water, and I poured that in there first. Do not pour bleach directly into your freshwater tank. Mix it with water and then put it in there, and then top off your tank. Depending on how big it is, depends on how long this will take. Now in the meantime, as you can see there, I've got a city water connection all set up and ready to go. So I will switch over the hose once my freshwater tank is filled and over to the city water connection. As you look at my city water connection, you'll see I have a 90-degree brass elbow. I've got a check valve and just a extra piece that came with a filter to kind of take the tension off of the whole fitting when you're using your city water connection. Now, one thing I did do is I did make a modification on my freshwater tank, and I added a valve for both the overflow and for the drain on it. I will put up a pop-up here so you can see the link to the video for the modification I made for the freshwater drain and the overflow valve add. So now our freshwater tank is completely filled, and now I went ahead and moved the garden hose over to the city water connection, and you can go ahead and keep the hose on. Now, whether it was yourself or a dealership, when they winterized your camper, and if they used the RV antifreeze, they put the bypass valves in the valves in the bypass mode for your hot water tank. Leave those as they are for both blowing out or for getting out the antifreeze and for the sanitation. Now in here, this is where my fresh water comes in from the city water connection, along with my pump and the filter, and then the tube that comes out of the freshwater tank. Now, when you winterize, you will be removing the screen and the little cup that goes on the bottom side of the filter. So you will need to make sure that gets put back in. Pretty simple to do, and in this case, Grey Wolf did not add a bypass valve in for winterizing with RV fluid. I think they must have expected you to use air. I live in Michigan. You gotta use RV fluid. I don't trust air. It gets way too cold in the wintertime. So right here is where the filter assembly is. Should be right near your pump. Here's the cup with the screen. Make sure you clean it out, which it should have been cleaned out when you winterized, but just make sure it's clean before you put it back in. So we'll go ahead and reinstall this back on before we start running water through the system. Okay, we are now going to run water in both the cold and the hot side until all of the pink RV antifreeze is completely removed from the system. Now this may take some time depending on how many faucets you have, but usually try to start with the kitchen one here, which is almost the furthest one away, but not quite. But you'll want to go through and do this to every single faucet you have, both the kitchen, the bathroom, the shower, the toilet, the outdoor showers, anywhere that you got water. You want to run it until there's no more pink RV antifreeze coming out of the system. Alright, now we have completely removed all of the pink RV antifreeze out of the entire system within the camper. And it's now time to start sanitizing everything. Now keep in mind, our hot water tank is still in bypass mode, and leave it that way for this process. You don't need to mess with that until later on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go inside the camper and we're going to switch the pump on and start chlorinating. Alright, now we have turned the pump switch on and turned the faucet on here in the kitchen, and we're going to be running water until we can smell chlorine coming out of it. You can just stick your nose near the water and you will smell it. It's pretty potent. So you want to go through, I just do, cold or hot, doesn't matter which one's first. Just go through each one. You can see where, there'll be some air gaps where it has switched from the city water over into now drawing from the fresh water tank. And you're going to go around and do every single faucet, whether it's the outdoor shower, the actual indoor shower, the toilet, the sink, all of them. You want to go through and both hot and cold, let it run until you can smell chlorine. Now remember, there's still going to be chlorinated water inside that tubing, like this shower that's shown right here. Once you've done it for the cold, it's going to take a little bit for the hot to push the fresh water through that tubing before it can actually start putting in chlorinated water. So we'll want to do this, and then we're going to let this sit for 6 to 8 hours to complete the sanitization process. Alright, it's been about 8 hours that we've let the chlorine water sit in the plumbing system to sanitize it. Now we're going to go ahead and flush everything out by turning the pump off if you haven't already, and flush everything with a city water connection until you can no longer smell the chlorine. You want to get that stuff out. Don't worry about the toilet, that's fine. But yeah, run it through the showers and just to get all that out. Then I also, in the meantime, I'm draining my freshwater tank, and then I will actually then go back and put more water inside the freshwater tank and then redrain it again to get any residual bleach water. Also, I live on acreage, so it's not such a big deal. However, all that RV antifreeze and water is now being stored in your gray tank. So I actually will sit there and dump it right, so that way I'm not carrying the extra weight on the first trip of the year. Well, that's the end of this video, and I want to thank you for watching. If you've got questions, please feel free to place those down in the comments section, and I will be doing some more how-to and some modification videos on our camper. So if you want to follow up on those, feel free to subscribe, and also click the bell so that way you get an alert when I place a new one on there. Well, thanks again for watching, and have a great time camping, and be safe.